few good reviews. 20. Few good reviews where I run down just random little vignettes of thoughts that I have on albums that have come out recently. And yeah, you know what it is by now. I've done 20 of these. 20. This is the 20th one. That's kind of cool. And yeah, just let me know your thoughts on these albums if you've heard them as well. And hope you enjoyed the video. Hozier, Wasteland, baby. This is good. I like this. I like this more than the debut album, actually. Obviously, he had a massive hit from that album, which is it's a decent song, actually. Take Me to Church. Can't really go wrong with that song. And I think the best on that album though was Jackie and Wilson. That's a great song. Great song. And I think this album's even better than that debut, actually, because it was just a little boring at times, whereas this one I feel has a bit more of that soulful power to it. Hozier is singing really well on this one. The instrumentals are way more melodic and way more enjoyable and way more like over the top and dramatic, which I actually think works in the favour of the album. But I think the issue is it just kind of wavers in and out like towards the end. Some of the tracks keep doing the same thing. Some of them are just kind of a bit dull. A bit like, you know, the track Sunlight, it's just a bit whatever. But yeah, I think overall this is a good album. Probably could have done with being like 3 or 4 tracks shorter, but this is solid. Yeah, I like this. Marianas Trench albums to me are just like overblown musicals where all the songs are huge, they're extravagant, they're bombastic in your face, and as the film goes on the songs just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's no real payoff because you're just not really having you're not really enjoying the songs, you're not really enjoying the story, you're not really enjoying any other aspect because the songs are just too in your face. Basically like The Greatest Showman or something like that. And I think this vocalist is talented, I think he is, but at times he can be really obnoxious. Like, I think Echoes of You is a great song, but so many of the other songs I just feel like he just overperforms. And yeah, I don't know, they made this song a few years ago, right, called Pop Song 101. And it was a pretty clever, like, self-aware parody of, like, modern pop songs. I didn't really like the song itself because it just, you know, sounded really generic, but that was the point of the song. It just wasn't very good to listen to, but that was the point. And they, you know, play to all these cliches, they make a lot of good jokes in the song. And the thing is about this band is that they kind of do all the things they were mocking in the song. I mean, not everything, obviously, but, like, lyrically, every song just hits the most mundane cliches you could think of. Like, this'll be the death of me. Like, they're so over the top and dramatic. Just like all the songs that they mocked in that one song there. They hit the cliches musically, they hit the cliches lyrically. And I don't know if this band will ever be for me, but I appreciate that they do kind of go the extra mile. Like, they do go so overboard with everything. You can tell there's so much effort that gets put into these performances, to these songs. But yeah, I just don't really think it's for me, really. It's just too overproduced and clean. This to me is just basically that Juan Waters album that I reviewed a while back, just with way less personality. Yeah, this was really boring. I thought I would get something out of this going into it, because of like the reception it's received, but I got nothing. This was really, really bland. So there's not much else to say than that, but yeah, it was just far too dull. The singer just had nothing to his voice that captured me in any way. The instrumentals were pretty lovely, but that was pretty much it. My mom grounded me, I am so upset. I hate all girls now, all girls are the same. I'm gonna slam my door, this girl is a... I'm a big fan of Below the Heavens. I think it's a huge highlight for 2000s hip-hop. Even if there are a few lines every now and then that Blue comes out with that I just really like, ugh. But like, you can kind of ignore them for all the great rapping that he displays on the rest of the album, because it really is impressive. And I know Blue hasn't really had that same kind of like reception since then with any of his albums, but this one's gotten a bit more of like a buzz behind it, a bit more of a welcoming reception, and I'm just not really feeling it, man. I like Ono's production. I think Ono is really like talented, but this just kind of sounds like your average 90s throwback album to me. Aside from the last three tracks, where you know, Facing Time and then the next two that follow it that close off the album, I'm just not really feeling the production at all. Like, it just doesn't have that lively feeling that those last few songs have. And the rapping is fine. The storytelling is really good, actually. I think the storytelling is the biggest selling point of the album, because if you didn't have that, you'd just have literally the Czarface album that came out a few weeks ago. That's what it sounds like to me anyway, without the comic book references. But there's that very obvious 90s boom bap influence just I can't shake away, and the hooks on this album really kind of pour to me. So yeah, I don't know, I'm just not really into this. It's kind of lame at times. Definitely dig the story, like I've already said, but yeah, just the whole sound of this album just does nothing for me. Blue isn't really impressing me that much. As in terms of rapping, like, yeah, the story behind the album is very good, but when you dig into like the content, what he actually raps about, it often just kind of, you know, has really these basic rhymes and stuff like that. There's not really anything going on there that impresses me. Yeah, I'm just not really feeling it. This is a lovely album from Eerie, Wanda. I think the first track is so adorable. I couldn't get over that one when I listened to it. Definitely the best track here. Every other track that follows is decent. It's not like it drops completely out of quality, but these are some solid like folk tunes. Definitely recommend that first track, because that's so good. But yeah, everything else was solid on this album. It's good. It's a shame to say that the only good tracks on this album were the two singles leading up to it, because I was sort of anticipating it. I like Sucker Punch and I like Strangers. Strangers is a great pop song. But yeah, I just had a painful experience with this album. I wouldn't even call it bad, but my experience with the album was bad. Like, I just didn't enjoy any of the songs aside from those two. Everything felt like really safe and ordinary. Like, they were just such basically structured pop songs that it just made the tracks really tedious to sit through. Sigrid as a singer didn't really demonstrate any like unique personality traits. I just really couldn't enjoy this album at all. Like, I really found it really quite bad. But again, I think people would listen to this and think it's decent, but I just really didn't like it. The international teachers of pop have taught me that I can't dance, but I want to dance because it's so good. It's so catchy and fun. This is a good pop album, man. If you're wanting some really like danceable, funky grooves, go listen to this. This is good. Shout out to Rick the Lie too. I would not have checked this out if it wasn't for him. But yeah, you can't go wrong with this. This is some like 80s nostalgic kind of like dance stuff, reminding me of like Eurythmics and stuff like that. This is good. This is funky, groovy, catchy. It's good. Thank you for watching this episode of A Few Good Reviews. Hopefully you got an enjoyment out of this. Hopefully you might have got some recommendations too. At least check all the albums out that I talked about, even if I didn't really say positive things. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day. Tell me what I should review next as well. That would be good to know. And goodbye.